I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The City of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act in conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting room facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording processes is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenters shall approach the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The City of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary, and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilkin.
Present.
Eck. Here. Cambridge. Fritz.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Singleton.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Hance.
Here.
First item this evening is consideration of approval of draft minutes of May 17th, 2016.
We'll move.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wilkin, Beck, Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hance, motion carried.
Item number 2, consideration of consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, Wilkin, Beck, Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hance, motion carried.
Item number 3, confirmation of mayor's appointments. Item 3A, consideration of reappointment of Stephanie Croston, Robert Doms, and Bruce Creed to the library board for 4-year terms.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
In favor, Wilkin, Beck, Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hance, motion carried.
Okay, Liz, Dan's not here yet. Okay. We'll
Hang on.
move.
He's walking in, right?
He's
Okay.
walking. All right. And number 4, project update and discussion regarding the proposed Blue River Pet Rescue Animal Shelter. Dr. Ellis, would you like to update the council?
That's what I call timing. Apologize for being a couple minutes late. Dan Ellis, 1187 Augusta Drive, and as Mayor Eichmeyer stated, I'd like to give you guys an update this evening on where we're at. It's been a couple of months since I came and spoke with you last. On May 11th, had a meeting with Councilmember Schmidt and County Commissioner Diana Garski, Mayor Eichmeyer, and City Administrator Mr. Smith, myself, and we sat down and kind of had a discussion about kind of what all 3 entities were perceiving as the route forward. Back in, I believe it was late March, when I spoke to you last, had asked for the council's support in getting the shelter started and looking for different ways to partner with the city. At the May 11th meeting, it seemed that the direction that both governmental entities were leaning toward looking at and giving consideration to was lending financial support on a year-to-year basis rather than any sort of operational capacity, and had indicated to both the county and the city that the total amount of annual support that we would be seeking from governmental entities in Seward County would be about $60,000. Our plan is to go to some of the villages, other communities in the county, City of Milford, Utica, Garland, Governor, some of those places, Beaver Crossing, some of those places to ask for support from their boards as well. And bottom line, our thought would be that that would leave probably about $50,000 in annual support to come from a combination of the city and the county. And obviously these services that were offered in return for that support in the form of impound services, as the city and the county both have to have a contract in place with a facility in order to take impounded animals to, according to state law. So I went and met with the county commissioners last Tuesday morning and gave them an update, same general update that I'm giving you this evening. There's definitely interest from the county in continuing these discussions. It's just a matter of, what form and total dollar amount of support. Those are things that still need to be hashed out with them. So, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to try and answer them the best I can.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Ellen.
One for you and one for Bruce. What is our impound situation now and how much per year?
Well, right now we take them up to Staplehurst, to the vet up there, and she puts them up there. And it's not a rescue or anything like that. I mean, they keep them for a few days, and if nobody comes in and claims them, then they euthanize the animals. We've had, according to the chief, we've had a lot better luck with Facebook and things. We've placed the dogs or animals on Facebook, and most of the time now they are getting claimed. And we budget $5,000 for that. That's what our budget is.
You mentioned $60,000 a year you would need from who again?
Total governmental support from
Not
County
including city and
of
county?
Seward, City of Seward, City of Milford, other communities in the county.
And then 50,000 from?
That 60,000 would be the total that we think that we would be seeking. 50,000 we believe would need to probably come from a combination of the city and the county.
Of that 60.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Christine, where are you guys at on your fundraising you've been doing as far as getting an actual building built
Sure.
and whatnot? Where's that process?
Right now, we have an anonymous donor who's committed $100,000 matching donation. And we have recently spoke with them. We have until the end of the year now to meet that match. We've raised about a third of that to this point. And that has been, at this point, without any formal fundraising efforts. That part of things is getting started here within the next few months. We're getting to the point of actually having a formal campaign to get to the point of having, once we can meet that match, that gives us a sizable amount that we can go out and seek some matching grants. There's a lot of grants out there that will take into consideration what the assets of the applicant are before they consider giving money. We do have a lot purchased, and that building site would be at the west end of Cottonwood, which is the road that runs east and west, just to the south of Casey's. And it's zoned light industrial. That lot is zoned light industrial, so zoned appropriately. We are keeping our options open. We just learned of a potential building that is for sale, that would potentially allow us to start sooner. It would require some retrofitting, but that's something that has, just in the last day or two, has come up as a possibility. It hasn't been investigated yet, so.
Yes, Ellen.
The construction is separate from the $60,000?
Yes, we would be entirely responsible for raising the money for construction. And the goal that we had set when we started out was that we thought we could build a very, very nice, adequate facility, and try to build it in a green capacity, with probably a goal of about 600,000.
Any other questions or comments from the council? So what do you see as the next step?
The next step, probably, I would guess, would be for the city to have internal discussions about what type of support they feel that they can lend, and then probably also have some discussions with the county about what that part, if there is sort of a partnership or what type of support the two entities would be able to lend to the organization. And I know Commissioner Garski is kind of the point person for the county on meeting with this.
We are going to be entering our budget process here. What's your timeline as far as when do you need, when is the point of no return?
I don't think there is a point of no return.
Okay.
It would be nice for us to have some sort of direction within the next probably 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
We have had donors that have asked what kind of a commitment that the city and county are going to have, because they believe that having the backing of the city and the county going forward is going to be important for the long-term viability. And so just to provide that sort of clarity for our donors, that's important for us.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd like to thank you for updating the council.
Thank you.
Item number 5, consideration of claim from Sharon Hartman, representing property located at 453 South First Street for alleged sewer damage. And just so you know, as we've done in the past with claims, our process is typically for the council to consider whether to pay the claim or deny it and send it to our insurance for their review. I think in all but maybe one instance we've done that, denied it and sent it to the insurance for their review. And I believe that was our recommendation, but we do have to be careful about not discussing this in too much detail. But I wanted to, that's my disclaimer. So now, Bruce, did you have anything to add?
Well, you see the claim in your packet, and I think Sharon's here. So if you had any questions, but we did go up there and rotted it after we were contacted to do it. It is on our maintenance schedule. We do it every 3 years, and it was jetted less than a year ago, according to Tim. So anyway,
Make a motion that we deny and send it to the insurance company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
20 in favor, welcome back. Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Hales, motion carried.
Item number 6 is a related claim. This is consideration of claim from Sharon Hartman, representing property located at 453 South First Street for tree replacement. Same disclaimer as before.
Is there, we cut down the tree because we thought it was dead?
yeah, it was dead according to us. Yes, it was dead.
Any other questions? Yes, John.
As far as condition of the tree, do we have an arborist in town anymore?
Well, we have Mel, who's been to lots of training, and he's been through training for 20 years. And Matt's an arborist, right? But it's a right-of-way tree, and we're responsible for those, and if we see one that's dead or diseased, then we do have the obligation to take him down. And so we took the tree down. This was over a year ago, but we took the tree down and ground the stump and put dirt back in, and anyway.
Are there plans to replace the tree?
If the property owner wants to replace the tree, there is a program for that. It's the relief project. So we could ask for money to do that. The tree that was cut down was not one of the trees that's approved for the project. If he'd like to replace the tree with that tree, then he'd have to buy that on his own, but otherwise, trees are available. The city pays a maximum of $75, the tree board would, towards a new tree.
John?
Did we stump grind it?
Yes.
So it's all ready for another tree?
Well, it's been ground, yeah.
And we'll support that process to help them if they want another tree. Make sure that they can get a tree in there.
They have to go to the tree board would
Yeah.
have
Right,
that decision.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's available.
We'd make sure, it's a corner lot, so we'd make sure though that the tree was placed properly, so it didn't interfere with the intersection.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to deny and send to insurance.
You don't have to go to the insurance.
I still want to go with that.
Okay, I just will make sure. So the motion is to deny and forward it to the insurance company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please play the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkins, Beck, Fritz, Singleton, Schmidt, Hands, opposed, Miller.
Item number 7, consideration of special designated liquor permit for Bottle Rocket Brewing LLC, 230 South Fifth Street, for a beer garden on July 1 through July 5 in the public parking lot located south of 230 South Fifth Street. I believe Gerald Hump is here to answer any questions. Does the council have any questions at this time? Or comments? Or would you like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkins, Beck, Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Item number 8, consideration of special designated liquor permit for Bottle Rocket Brewing LLC, 230 South Fifth Street for an outdoor beer garden on July 1 through July 5th.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Did you want to mention something?
Yes, I did. Gerald Hom.
You're not going to snatch
Which address?
defeat from the jaws of victory, are you?
No.
You're so close. But please, continue.
All right.
Okay.
Gerald Hom, President, Bottle Rocket Brewing, 230 South Fifth Street. Thank you. Clarification on this one. It's not outdoor only. It's the deck and the large addition in the back.
Okay,
Yeah. So in the SDL, it's clarified in that.
okay,
We sent in 2 maps and
okay.
designated that area in the
Okay.
back and on the deck.
So the back will be finished?
It'll have enough, yeah, it'll be occupiable.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
But, so the SDL itself is, the application is fine? Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Yes, John?
John, if it's not, how are you guys gonna determine if it's usable?
Between us and the fire marshal, we both view,
Okay, well, that'll be completed before
making
it
sure
gets,
this is not a construction zone.
okay, so it'll get approved or denied by the fire marshal, that.
So even if the application were approved by the council and the state, they still have to have the occupancy permit to use it, and so they would just wanna be able to use that space. Is that you're good? Okay, we're good. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion for approval and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkins, Beck, Fritz, Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Okay. Item number 9, consideration of potential acquisition of temporary or permanent construction and grading easement from Seward School District for real estate located west of Star Street. I think, Dr. Barnes, did you want to say a few words? And update the council on where we're at?
Okay, Greg Barnes, 1611 Augusta Drive. Start out by saying, I guess, first of all, I don't know how long we've been talking about this, but it seems to be quite a while now, but you know, I think the school board's still very interested in working with the city and the homeowners on Star Street to do something. We have not taken any official vote on anything, but I think the interest level's there. We were able to meet, I think, with, say, committee from the city and your legal counsel and our legal counsel and the committee of my board met. When was that, in April, May? And had some discussion on this issue, and we had a discussion at our next school board meeting about it. Again, didn't take any vote on anything, but several things we talked about. You know, obviously here you have before you consideration of permanent or temporary easement. I think it would be a done deal from the school board's point of view. If it's a permanent easement, I think they would just jump all over that and move forward. If it's a temporary easement, I don't know where they're gonna stand on that. I think their biggest concern is that, you know, they feel like they're willing to be part of the project, but they don't want to be responsible for that project, you know, well into the future. And we're willing, you know, the school district has no hang up about mowing that. If it's a berm or a swale, whatever the engineer might recommend for the project. They just don't wanna be responsible if there's a blowout or if there's, homeowners down the road that say, you know, I don't know, you know, we're still getting flooded basements, we need to do something different. And so I think that's the big concern. I know we talked about that meeting, maybe there's a way to reduce liability by having homeowners sign some sort of a waiver. I don't know if that's doable or not. We had those discussions, but, you know, when we talked about it at our board meeting, I think, you know, the other thing we talked about, well, let's hire an engineer. Maybe the school district would pay for the engineer and see what we're talking about first and foremost, and then decide whether we go forward with a permanent or temporary easement. The school, if we decided then that, you know, the city says, no, we don't wanna do permanent, and the school says, well, we're not gonna do it unless you do the permanent easement, and then it falls through, then the city would reimburse the school for half the engineering costs. If the project goes through, then we'll pick up the engineering costs as we've discussed. You know, as we discussed that at our last meeting, I think there was still just some hang up from school board members about moving forward with an engineer until we decide what we're gonna do with the easement. Feel we just as well settle that issue now as to move forward and then pay for engineering and then decide we're not gonna move forward. So that's kind of where we were at. That's the discussion we've had. To answer any questions from anybody, if you have any.
Any questions from the council? Or any comments from the council this time? Yes, John?
Who owns the ground, the school or the city?
It's right above where we have a pipe that comes out that is our responsibility, and it wraps around, you know, where the rocks, okay, so you're familiar with the area, okay.
Work it all out.
Okay.
I just want to clarify who owns
Yeah.
the ground or who's responsible.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? We can have discussion, obviously, yeah.
I would just add one thing in response to that. You know, we own that ground before Star Street, or that development was ever there. The school did, and we really haven't done anything in that area to change anything. And so that's part of the reason, I guess, we're, you know, interested in the permanent easement.
Okay. So the council, we can either, at this time, discuss publicly, or we can also go into closed session if you'd like to make that motion.
I move we go into closed session with the city administrator, the mayor, city attorney, to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary or permanent construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to go into closed session with the city attorney, the city administrator, the mayor, and the city council to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary or permanent construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Is there any discussion? The pending motion is to go into closed session with the city attorney, the city administrator, the mayor, and the city council to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary or permanent construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Please register your votes.
Mayor, are we gonna need John in there for this?
We're just basically talking about if we're gonna take it on as a permanent or a temporary easement, the liability part, so I don't know. You can John can come in if you want him to, but I think we're just pretty much just talking about the.
Would you like to amend the motion to include
Let's
John
amend
Hughes?
it to include John.
Okay, and just a
Questions will
second.
probably come up.
So good.
So the motion has been amended to include John Hughes and seconded. And I've restated the motion, so at this time I'd ask you to please register your votes. Please display the votes.
In favor, welcome back. Fritz Miller, Single Engineer District.
Motion has been adopted to go into closed session with the city attorney, the city administrator, the mayor, the council, and John Hughes to discuss the possible acquisition of a temporary or permanent construction and grading easement from the Seward Public School District for a period not to exceed 30 minutes has been adopted. Words.
So we got
Alright, yeah. John, did you get the camera? You got it?
There's that one left. Yeah, we let ship sail several years.
I didn't know that was that.
She's in the restaurant.
I can.
I'll let you say it, or maybe I'll say something. No.
Okay. We will now continue the meeting. I would like to first announce that there was no formal action taken while in closed session, and that will conclude item number 9. Item number 10 is the administrator's report.
The report's in your packet if you have any questions. We did get notice from Spectrum Communications, which is formerly Charter, that they are buying out Time Warner. So, Time Warner will be known as Spectrum here before too long. So, that's just for your information in case you get any questions from the public. Otherwise, we've just been working on the budget. We're trying to be way ahead of where we were at last year. And we're meeting with our last department tomorrow at 5 o'clock to go through that with the fire department. So anyway, if there's any questions?
Do you want to mention the global?
We had our the inaugural Global tournament out at the golf course. It was a big success. It's the mayor's inaugural Global tournament, so if you'd like to say a few words about it.
It was fun. I think we had 18 teams sign up and 4-person per team, and it was dark. So it was a new moon, I believe, on Saturday, and so Friday was pretty dark. You could see all the stars in the sky and the occasional glow ball fly overhead. So it was pretty neat seeing that. And the weather did cooperate. We had a little bit of rain about an hour or two beforehand, but it cleared out, and it was good. So I think we had a lot of people who came in from out of town who hadn't played on the golf course before, and they had a good time. They still know what the golf course looks like, but they had a lot of fun golfing out there. So I'm trying to convince them to come back during the daytime. So other than that, it was a good time. Was there anything else you had?
No.
I asked, unless there are any questions, I entertain a motion to accept the city administrator's report.
So moved.
Second.
Do a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilson Beck, Fritz Miller, Singleton, Schmidt, Hans, motion carried.
All right, that's item number 10. Item number 11, future requests for council agenda items or administrative action. Yes?
As we go through the budgeting process later on in the summer, I would be interested to see a breakdown of new membership by demographic age.
At the community golf course?
At the golf course, excuse me, yes.
I just was gonna do that for the next meeting. I was gonna have at least show what, how many members they had last year and how many annual pass holders we have this year, but we can do it.
I don't know what demographic information they would have other than
Just age.
the type of membership.
I just,
Youth or,
youth or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
we'll have that, yeah.
Any other requests? All right, then, that concludes number 11. Number 12, motion to adjourn. Motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.